Renal clearance and tubular function. If you happen to remember, we read so much about the glomerular. If you happen to remember, we read so much about the glomerular. Okay? The filtration, how it happens, what are the forces. This glomerulus is connected to proximal, distal, the loop of Henle. These are tubules. Okay, so today we will be studying about renal clearance and its tubular function. These are just the objectives, like we have already studied the filtration barrier, where does how much will filter out, what are the factors that it depends, okay, and also a bit of pathophysiology of nephrotic syndrome. If you happen to remember, we talked about the endothelial cell, the basement membrane and the podocytes. Did we talk about that?
Yes.
There is a disease, as I told, there are disease conditions in which this basement membrane or podocyte or the endothelial can be damaged. And if that is the case, if it is not damaged, then will protein filter out?
No.
No. Generally, it does not filter out. Why?
Because of
Protein.
the electricity.
Because of the electricity and the salt. But in disease like nephrotic syndrome, one of the disease, this whole of the stuff is broken down. That's why you happen to find protein in the urine. Okay? So not to complicate it too much with big names like nephrotic syndrome, we are not oriented. No, it is normal physiology. If you know the normal physiology, just you have to know that in nephrotic syndrome, this barrier is broken down. So lazim, the urine would be containing protein or no protein?
No protein.
Urine in nephrotic syndrome, once this barrier is broken down, would be containing protein or no protein?
Protein.
And there are various criteria for this nephrotic syndrome to be diagnosed. That is medicine, therefore, not now. Glomerular filtration rate, what it is. So these are some of the stuff that we will be studying. Glomerular filtration rate and how to measure it. Amount of plasma filtered by the nephron in both the kidneys in unit time is called as rate. Rate means in how much time, how much work is done. How much filtration happens in wahid minute from both the kidneys. 125 milli, and this is called as glomerular filtration rate. This is the amount of filtration going out in both the kidneys. GFR is a kidney function test. Okay. Glomerular filtration rate ideally normally should be 125 milli per minute. Wahid minute we filter out 125 milli of the plasma, you can say, or the filtrate. Better word is filtrate. Is it a kidney function test? Think of a scenario that everybody's kidney is doing, both the kidneys, Jama is doing 125 milli in wahid minute. My kidney is doing, both of them is doing only 50 milli per minute. What does it say about my kidney and your kidney?
There is a lot of metabolic waste in your body.
A lot of this problems
Yeah, in your body.
renal failure.
Maybe a renal failure. This says that if filtration is not going ideally what it should go normally, that means indeed there is some kidney disease or kidney pathology. So my second sentence is true. GFR, glomerular filtration rate, is a kidney function test. It tells about kidney function. Okay? If GFR is normal, kidney function is
No.
normal. If GFR is decreased, kidney function is abnormal. Okay? Variation in GFR between different species depends upon number of nephrons. Okay. So scientists have also studied in different species, like in a chimpanzee, in a monkey, all those. Okay. So different species would be having different number of nephrons, and depending upon that, will the glomerular filtration rate depend?
Yes.
Yes. But for humans, it is taken as common. So how many nephrons in and around would be there in one kidney? 1 million. So 2 kidneys around 2 million. How is GFR measured? How can I measure GFR? If GFR is such an important thing for kidneys, how can I measure the GFR? If you happen to see the diagram right there, think of a substance that is mojood in my blood, a substance or a drug X. Okay? I have a particular concentration of drug flowing in my blood. Okay? Say the concentration is 10 milligram in 100 milli of blood. 10 milligram in 100 milli of blood. This is the blood concentration of the drug. This drug filters out. Filtration is process number. In the diagram, process number, filtration is process number 1. This drug is filtered out. This drug is not reabsorbed. That is process number, reabsorption is process number
2.
2. This drug is not secreted. That is process number 3. And definitely this drug would be then excreted in the urine. Okay? So, what this drug has just filtered out and it got excreted. It has not reabsorbed and it has not secreted. I need such type of a substance to measure a GFR. So, GFR can be measured by clearance method. By measuring a clearance of a substance, I can measure the GFR. How is it possible? Renal clearance of a substance is the volume of plasma that is completely cleared of the substance by the kidneys per unit time. Clearance rate of substances, plasma concentration, urine concentration, and urine flow rate. V is the urine flow rate. So if we use this formula, can I calculate, if I know this, this and this, can I calculate this?
Yes.
Yes. So can I get the plasma concentration of the drug? Can I measure it?
Yes.
Yes. What is the plasma concentration? Is it 10 milligrams per 100 milli of blood or 1 milligram per 100 milli of blood? You take the blood sample, measure it, you can get it. Okay? Can I get urine concentration of the substance S or a drug D?
Yes.
How? I collect the urine, 100 milli of urine, and I would see how much substance we mojood. And V is the volume or the urine flow rate, at what rate the urine is flowing. At what rate the urine is flowing. Again, I can know that. In 1 hour, the nephron has collected 100 milli of urine, so in 1 minute, how much it would be? Can I calculate it? Yes. All the 3 values can be calculated. That's why I can get the 4th value, that is the clearance rate of the substance. So clearance rate would be urine concentration multiplied by the urine flow rate divided by the plasma. This would give you a clearance of a substance. Because rest of the 3 things can be calculated. Rest of the 3 things can be calculated. Measurement of GFR. As we told, I can measure the GFR very correctly only if the substance is freely filterable, can filter out easily. The substance cannot filter out. Can I measure the clearance rate?
No.
No, I cannot measure the clearance rate. Why? Because this is I have to calculate. What I am saying is, lazim it should be filterable. If it is not filterable, what would be this?
No screen.
Zero.
It will not be found.
Zero.
Zero.
Zero. So 0 multiplied by anything would be
Zero.
0. So can I find this?
No.
No. So lazim it has to be filterable. Okay? Say a substance is also reabsorbed or substance is also secreted. So the filtration is say X, but it changes to the excretion, it becomes Y because something is taken away or something is added. So will you get a correct measure of filtration?
No.
No. That's why whatever substance you use to measure the clearance should not be reabsorbed and should not be secreted. It should be only filterable, that's it. Lazim, if somebody has to measure my clearance, they would take that substance, put it in a syringe and inject into me. 50 gram of substance is put in my blood. My blood is 5 liters. So how much substance is mawjood per liter of blood?
10.
10 gram per liter of blood. Okay? How much substance is mawjood per 100 milli of blood? 1. 1. Simple. Now if we maloom, now you know plasma concentration of the substance that you have put. Halas? This substance would move through the kidneys and get filtered out. Okay? This substance is not going to be reabsorbed and not going to be secreted. What is filtered out is collected in urine. I produce maybe 1 liter of urine or 500 milli of urine. Okay? So you can calculate how much urine I am producing in 1 minute. In 2 hours, 200 milli of urine. So in 1 minute you can calculate. Now you measure the concentration of substance mawjood in the urine. That way you get the concentration of the urinary concentration of the substance. So you know the plasma concentration, you know the urinary concentration, and you also know the urine flow rate, like 200 milli in 2 hours. Okay? So 3 things you know. The 4th thing you can calculate is the clearance of the substance. That is the idea. But there are, can we use all substances? Can we use a sugar solution?
No.
No, why?
Because it's reabsorbed.
It's absorbed.
It is reabsorbed. What else?
Proteins.
Ah, good.
Mistreated.
Somebody?
Metabolized.
Metabolized. Is it there? Yeah, here it is. It should not be metabolized. Once you put it into my blood, it should not be used up. Okay? It should not be used up in the blood. It should be there. If you put 1 gram, then it should be mawjood 1 gram per 100 milli circulating and going to the kidney. It should not be used up. Sugar can be used up. It should not be toxic. It should be stable. It should not be killing me because of just for making a renal function test, somebody killed me. No. It should be stable. What do you mean by stable? It should not be making changes with its chemical structure, then passing through a liver or then passing through any other organ. Correct? Should not be bound to plasma protein. What does it mean?
So it will be found in the blood.
So it can't be
Once you put it
secreted.
into my blood,
Free.
it should not be attaching to the plasma protein. Why?
Because the plasma protein cannot
Won't be
filtered.
filtered. Won't be filtered. Excretion is baden, so it is a final step, okay, but won't be filtered. Does not change the renal plasma flow. I want to measure a chemical compound that is sympathetic in nature. Sympathetic in nature. It is freely filterable. It is not metabolized. It is not toxic. It is stable. It is not bound to plasma protein, but it has got sympathetic action. How?
It will decrease.
Is it a good substance to use?
No.
No.
Why?
It It will decrease. Sympathetic nerve will decrease.
Sympathetic would constrict the afferent maybe or constrict the efferent, and it would change the plasma flow to the kidney. It should not change the plasma flow to the kidney. Okay? This is the basic idea. Most of the books have written it as just put it right there. And I have also brought it as a put it right there. But in actuality, what we explained now and what you answered now, those are the understanding that you should keep about which of the following substances cannot be used or can be used for measuring clearance of a human being, okay, or seeing for a GFR. Having said this, one of the substances that came out to be fulfilling all these criteria was not insulin, it is inulin. Insulin is different. Inulin is a very non-toxic, stable compound. Insulin is stable,
Metabolized.
not stable.
Not stable.
Huh?
No, not stable.
Not stable.
Not stable?
Not stable.
It's a hormone, but it's stable, not stable.
Stable.
Come again.
Changing the concentration of glucose.
Change in the concentration, yes.
Insulin or inulin? Which one is the stable?
Inulin.
You have to, that's what the question is. I'm saying inulin is the one you will be using, so this one is the stable one. I'm asking why insulin is not stable. What is the, do we know T half of a substance? T half, what is the meaning of T half?
The half of the time.
Half-life of a substance. So half-life of insulin is, yes, go ahead guys, very good.
Really short.
No, very short is a diplomatic answer. Yes, it is true, it is very short. How much it is? That
10 minutes.
Huh?
10 minutes.
Okay. You add 2 to that and I give you, it is 5
30
minutes.
minutes.
5 minutes. Okay? 5 minutes. The insulin that you produce is موجود in your bloodstream. 5 minutes, if it gets the glucose, it would put in. If it is not, it would. Yes.
I don't hear that inulin is sugar. It wouldn't be metabolized?
No, that's what, it is a very stable compound. That's what I am saying. Inulin. Okay? Inulin, you do not have metabolic process to change inulin in the body. So again, this is very largely explained in your Titan to make you bored. The job is the same. Actually, in your clearance formula, you see there are 2 of the stuff at the top, 1 of the stuff in the bottom. 2 of the stuff at the top would be urine concentration and volume, urine flow rate. And 1 of the stuff in the bottom would be this coming this way, so would be a plasma concentration. Plasma concentration. So in actual, you would be first putting the stuff into the circulation and getting a plasma concentration, and then this would be found in urine and how much urine is there. All this stuff would be done. The same experiment would be done the same way as I told. First you put a drug into the circulation. It circulates in the body, gets filtered up, collects in the urine, and you calculate. So that was how things was done. Calculation of GFR, amount of inulin excreted would be urinary concentration of inulin, that's why it writes as UIN, multiplied by the urine flow. So that would be total amount of inulin that is excreted. Amount of inulin filtered would be plasma concentration multiplied by the glomerular filtration rate. The same, now we have changed it to GFR, what we were thinking of as CS, clearance of substance S. Okay, so now we call it as a, since we are taking in a case of a glomerulus, so we are calling it as a glomerular filtration rate. Actually, we have to calculate GFR, so amount of inulin excreted and amount of inulin filtered. Inulin is a substance that is absorbed or secreted? No. So what this amount should be? Both. They should be the same. They should be the same. That's is how you put into a formula amount of inulin excreted should be same as amount of inulin filtered. You have this, you have this, you have this. Can you calculate GFR?
Yes.
Yes.
GFR would be something like inulin in the urine multiplied by the urine flow rate divided by plasma inulin concentration. So the basic idea is right there. So having said this, that is the clearance formula. This is the stuff that we want to know, clearance, or we want to know our GFR, glomerular filtration rate. How can we do it? By using a substance that is easily filterable, not reabsorbed, not secreted, not toxic, not metabolized.
I don't know, but what I understand is that the amount of the substance, half of it will be filtered and half of it will be excreted.
Come again?
Half of it will be excreted and another half will be filtrated.
Amount of substance, yes, yes. Not half will be filtered out.
If we say it is the same, let's say we have 30 milli of substances and half of it is excreted.
No, the idea is whatever is filtered out, okay? Whatever is filtering out, first is filtration or excretion?
Filtration.
Filtration. So whatever is filtered out, that is exactly the same what is excreted.
It cannot be reabsorbed.
Cannot be reabsorbed. There is Murphy reabsorption, there is Murphy secretion, there is Murphy metabolism. If you put a substance that is like sugar, it is metabolized. So what you put is different. What you get in urine would be a different. Okay? Yes.
The flow rate.
Urine flow rate means like I produce 60 milli of urine in 60 minutes, that is 1 hour. Clear? So what is my urine flow rate in Wahid minute?
1 minute.
1 milli, 1 milli I am making in 1 minute. So this is my flow rate. I am making 1 milli of urine in 1 minute.
Is there an average to it?
Come again?
Is there an average for urine flow rate?
Yes, 120 the GFR, the urine, final urine that you make is less, that comes out to be, come again? So that is GFR. How much, but in GFR you do a lot of reabsorption and secretion, okay? So for the urine flow rate, generally we make in 24 hours 1.5 liters, okay? 1.5 liters in 24 hours. If you go with the standard to define less urine or more urine, if you are making more than 3 milli per minute, okay, then it is more per hour, sorry, and if it is less than 1.5, then it is less. So not going into those, you would be taken care for the values, oliguria, polyuria, all this stuff. But 1.5 to 2 liters of urine generally make in 24 hours, that is true. Calculation of GFR and filtration fraction, okay. We also, did you remember, this was previous slide, this was, I am using a substance to calculate a GFR. Finally I calculated GFR. But did we know that we also calculated a GFR by calculating net filtration pressure? We were provided with net filtration pressure, the hydrostatic pressure of the plasma, the oncotic pressure of the plasma, but then the hydrostatic pressure of the filtrate, and there was no oncotic pressure. Okay? And also we were provided with a scientific number or a data that was Kf, coefficient of filtration. And from that we got a value of 12.5, we were provided 12.5, and how much was the net filtration pressure we calculated last?
10.
Around 10 millimeters of mercury, okay? So it came out to be GFR again 125 milli per minute. This was the other way. Filtration fraction is fraction of renal plasma flow that is filtered out. So This is the glomerulus. Plus, blood is flowing, something is filtered, plasma, some amount of plasma is filtered, the rest of the blood is going out. So if I ask 100 milli of blood is flowing, how much filters and how much goes out?
20%.
20%?
20%
20% would be filtered and 80% would go out. So if 100 milli of blood flows, how much is the filtered amount? 20 milli. 20 milli. So that is an idea about what is filtered out is a GFR. What is flowing through is a plasma flow rate. So that's what it comes out to be 125 divided by 625. 625 is the amount of blood flowing in Wahid minute to the kidney. 125 milli is the amount of filtrate being produced from both the kidneys. If you divide it, it comes to be 0.2. Convert into the percent, it comes to be 20%. That's what it says as normal filtration fraction. It is a fraction. Only a fraction of blood is filtered out. That is 20%. If I ask 100 milli is going to the kidneys, 100 milli of blood is going to the kidneys, how much would be filtered out? 20%. Okay? That is a rough idea. So normal filtration fraction is 20% and it is nothing but GFR divided by renal plasma flow. Renal plasma flow. GFR divided by renal plasma flow. Important, why these small things are important, because sometimes they ask you that okay, GFR generally first year graduates are very much confused about. You should be very clear about renal plasma flow is a different and GFR is something different. Generally people in the exam think that okay, GFR means, although they can affect each other, but they are not the same. One is about blood flow, the other one is about filtrate. Autoregulation, kidney, I suppose everybody by this time remembers that kidney is one of the organs that can auto-regulate its blood flow. Okay? And this is indeed important. And if blood flow is regulated, your GFR is regulated. So over a wide range of blood pressure, the GFR is regulated because the blood flow is regulated to the kidney. And that is by the auto-regulation or the feedback mechanism to keep the renal blood flow and GFR constant no matter the arterial blood pressure is changing from 75 to 160, a wide range. A wide range. Still, the GFR is still, if it is 80, systolic blood pressure or mean arterial blood pressure is 80, still the GFR is 125 milli per minute. If the blood pressure increases up to 150 or 160, still the GFR remains the same. Mushkila would come once the blood pressure really goes down below 60. This is the place where the GFR will go down and kidney is going into a shutdown phase. Extremely low blood pressure. Extremely low blood pressure we get in a clinical condition called as shock. That's the reason why if you happen to listen to my lectures, a nafar comes with shock, with too much of blood loss, with blah blah blah, so many conditions, and you are getting a low blood pressure, rather than to discuss most of the thing, how the accident happened, okay, what exactly happened, or who are the people who can donate blood. If you don't have blood, that is not the time to discuss. First put 2 of the cannulas in both the hands, start his fluids, just to save the
Kidneys.
kidney. Because once if you happen to remember, a cell that is very sensitive to oxygen depletion is brain, neurons. Okay. Next to neurons is next to neurons. The heart is very sturdy. And the heart is the one that takes lot many kicks and bounces. Huh? I failed in I scored less, it is on my heart. Okay, my mother has scolded me, it is on my heart. My brother took away my bike, it is on my heart. So heart is a strong man. Huh? And it's extreme. And the heart, you have to be a real extreme to make ischemia.
Lungs or kidneys?
Kidneys are very sensitive. Nephrons are very sensitive. Neurons and nephrons are very sensitive to hypoxic damage. Nephrons and neurons are very sensitive to hypoxic damage. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave, whenever there is low blood flow to the kidney, that means low blood flow means low oxygen to the kidney. And if there is low oxygen, immediately the kidney tries to bring up a substance called as now. No. Kidney.
Vasopressin.
No, vasopressin from what? Pituitary.
hematopoietic system.
Renin?
And say hematopoietic system. Kidney produces erythropoietin
Catalamine.
and running short on oxygen. Right now my kidney is running short on oxygen. It produces erythropoietin. Erythropoietin will go to the bone marrow. Bone marrow will take 7 days to make that jadid blood cell. By the time I am gone. Not a good sign.
Catalamine.
No. Just don't.
Really?
I would say having a gun in your hand does not mean you start firing. Diuretic means
Not
you make more urine. If you give a diuretic drug to me, you make more urine. I am on a blood pressure of 70 systolic. You give diuretic, I start making more urine. So I go to the blood pressure of
Lower.
lower. Kill myself. Diuretic is a bad idea.
Anti-diuretic.
Did we? Nobody remembers. Low blood flow to kidney releases. That is Babel.
Catalamine.
Renin?
Renin is the answer.
You said.
No, nobody said renin.
No, someone said it and
Angiotensin,
they
people
didn't
told
have.
angiotensin. People told angiotensin is not from kidneys, guys. Be
Yes.
very specific. These
Liver.
are some of the testing questions.
From the liver.
Angiotensin is not from kidneys. Renin is the one that is from your kidney. Somebody answered vasopressin. Vasopressin is from
Pituitary.
anterior pituitary. No wrong answer. Pituitary. Anterior or posterior?
Posterior.
Posterior. Anything more comes to your mind for regulation of blood pressure? Quick. Antidiuretic and vasopressin are same. One nafar with two names.
What we said is vasopressin.
Anything more? Aldosterone?
What's this?
Aldosterone comes from?
Suprarenal.
Suprarenal, adrenal gland. Okay. So having said this, it would be a real problem if somebody is running short on blood pressure. Definitely less, the blood is flowing less because of low pressure. The blood is flowing less, and is a really high pressure or low pressure? Low pressure. So the filtration would be more or less?
Yes.
Less. So it would go into a renal shutdown. Autoregulation changes the diameter of afferent and efferent and the glomerular capillaries and would try to adjust it. Whenever there is decreasing blood pressure, there is afferent. This is the glomerulus. Blood is coming from inner, so this is afferent, A. This is going out, so this is efferent. If the blood pressure is low, which one would you like to dilate and which one would you like to constrict?
Constrict the afferent and dilate.
One by one. Any one person should say.
Constrict.
The efferent will dilate and
The efferent.
the efferent will constrict.
The efferent, he wants the efferent to be constricted a bit, not complete. Not complete, I suppose. Huh? Little bit constricted. And afferent you want to dilate. He wants afferent to dilate it because he wants to bring in more blood. Okay? More of the blood comes in. He wants the efferent to be bit constricted so that the blood has got a bit put up more pressure to move out. If it has to put more pressure to move out, kullu there is a high pressure in it. So that there would be more of
Filtration.
filtration. What about if the blood pressure goes up?
No,
The opposite, but mainly what happens is with the afferent. With the afferent. The afferent is constricted so that less of blood comes in, so less of pressure would be. Okay. So this is the idea about autoregulation. In our previous lecture also we had, I hope so we had this slide.
Yes, we do.
Three processes that control GFR. Is it just the autoregulation that controls GFR or something else also controls the GFR? Autoregulation we have talked, it is myogenic mechanism. It is in the muscle. Right here. What do you mean by myogenic in mechanism? The first sentence that we have written, myogenic in the bracket, and what you would definitely skip in your books, afferent inner. Whenever the blood pressure is high, afferent is the one that is affected more. That's what I was saying. Okay, we have not mentioned about efferent. Somebody answered that, okay, it would be the reverse of this. That can be an answer logically thinking, but that is not the answer in actuality. In actuality, this is the answer. Afferent arteriole, guys. Okay, this is the normal caliber of afferent arteriole. Class? If afferent arteriole is constricted, less of blood would flow through it.
Yes.
Less of blood.
Yes.
Okay, not pressure. We are not talking of pressure. Less of blood would flow through it. If afferent arteriole is dilated, more of blood would flow through it. Correct?
Yes.
Whenever the blood pressure is high,
Dilating it will cause
the blood pressure is coming, the pressure of the blood is high, it tries to stretch this afferent arteriole.
Yes.
Afferent arteriole has got muscles. That's why that is myogenic. These muscles are special muscles. Whenever they sense
High
the
pressure.
pressure is high, they try to shut down a bit. Whenever they feel pressure is high, they automatically constrict. So by automatic constriction, more of blood comes to the glomerulus or less of blood comes?
Less.
Less. So that way you can manage the GFR at a constant rate. That's why we have shown it right here. Yes, any question? Did you get this point right? The first myogenic. Second one would be hormonal and the third one would be autonomic regulation. Let's see to these two. Anybody who can tell in Arabic who got it correct, what I meant to say by myogenic and what I went to say by the afferent, the condition. Yes, please.
الافرنت ارتي واللي عنده عضله زي الحساس لما يشوف في المستشفى البشر عالي نارتي راح يحاول انه يقلل الضغط هذا انه يصير دفع الدم دوري فيدخل يجي فهو يحاول يقلل واذا شاف ان الضغط خفيف يحاول يسوي دايليشن عشان يدخل دم يسوي فلتر هذه نظريه الموجود.
Is it clear or shall I repeat it for you? Clear? Okay. So that is about the myogenic. Two other things that can control GFR, one is the hormone and one is your autonomic nervous system. So we are not going into the myogenic autoregulation. Still we have written it for you. Whenever there is high pressure flowing through the afferent, there is more stretching of vessel wall. If you stretch the vessel wall more, the vessel wall will try to constrict. If the vessel wall constrict, the blood flow to the glomerulus would
Be low.
be less. Hormonal mechanism would be about tubuloglomerular feedback and definitely very important that you should not forget hormonal, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. That is lazim that you should be knowing. Renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system, the hormone. coming to the feedback, that is glomerular tubular balance. What do you mean by glomerular tubular balance? It means that whenever the GFR is increased, the rate of solute reabsorption from tubule part increases to maintain the same fraction of filtered load being reabsorbed. Like the rate of water and solute reabsorption also increases. Like if you increase the GFR by 2%, okay, 2% extra filtration, the rate of absorption also increases by 2%. So this is kind of a glomerulus where GFR is happening. It has increased by 2%. This change increases the reabsorption from tubules by 2%. So final outcome of urine would be more or less or same.
Same.
More.
Same.
Filtration 2% extra from normal. Reabsorption 2% extra from normal. Amount of urine produced would be
20%.
same. So this is kind of a feedback. Whenever the GFR is more from glomerulus, it increases the reabsorption rate from the tubule. That's why it is called as glomerular tubular balance. Okay. Tubuloglomerular feedback. What is this? Tubuloglomerular feedback is whenever there is low sodium running in the filtrate, low sodium going to the kidney, less amount of sodium being filtered because less amount of sodium is present. If less amount of sodium is getting filtered, do you remember that in the tubules there is a very special area called as juxtaglomerular apparatus?
Yes.
And there is macula densa cells. What are macula densa cells do? Macula densa.
They absorb sodium.
No, they do not absorb sodium. They? But what they do, what macula densa cells have a very special, like our tea taster. Do you remember somebody who tastes tea? So they just keep on checking what is the sodium level. If they find it low, they would stimulate the other cells to produce renin. Okay? If you produce renin more, finally you would increase the sympathetic effect or parasympathetic effect?
Sympathetic.
Sympathetic. Finally it would change the arteriolar pressure. So finally it would change the GFR, would rather increase the GFR. If there is more increase in GFR, guys, more sodium would be coming or less sodium would be coming? More sodium would be coming. And now it would again go to the same macula densa cell, and then maybe the renin production would be a bit lower down. So sodium is having a role on macula densa is having a role on the GFR. So the effect is coming from the tubules to glomerulus or from glomerulus to tubules? Initial starting.
Tubule.
From tubules to
Glomerular.
glomerulus. The sodium is sensed low by macula densa cells in the tubules. That's why it is called as tubuloglomerular feedback. Macula densa cells are modules in the tubules. We'll show you the diagram. Do I really have to explain this diagram? We have been continuing it from year 1. So the very first, second, and let it huh? And still people are still making mistakes. Angiotensinogen is coming from?
Liver.
Renin is coming from? And what is the stimulus to produce renin?
Low blood.
Low blood pressure, low oxygen, both.
Both.
Both. Low blood pressure means low oxygen. Okay. So answer is both. Angiotensinogen gets converted to which product?
Angiotensin 1.
Angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1 gets converted to angiotensin 2 under the presence of a very important enzyme, ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme. So, which organ produces this angiotensin converter?
Lung.
The lungs produce it. Is it put in the bloodstream?
No, should not. No.
Yes.
No.
Huh?
No, because they will convert.
Where is this angiotensin 1 module?
In the blood.
In the blood. Right? So, once it is molecule in the blood, it needs this enzyme to get it converted to angiotensin 2. All angiotensin 1 molecule in my blood moves through the lung capillaries to get converted to angiotensin 2. That means my lung capillary cells have got those enzymes sitting on their top. They are not put in blood. They are sitting on the top. They are surface enzyme. That's it. That's the question. Angiotensin converting enzyme is a surface enzyme. Where are they modules? They are modules in the endothelium of the alveoli or endothelial cells of the lung capillaries.
لا.
Lung capillaries?
Alveoli.
Angiotensin.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the most commonest wrong answer. Generally, anything for lung, oh, it is alveoli. Okay, that is, I can show you the paper from this college. 90% of the guys doing it wrong. Okay, so it is not the alveoli, surface cells of alveoli. Alveoli deals with only air. It does not deal with blood. Okay, so it is the capillary cells that have this surface enzyme. More than this, angiotensin 2 has got multiple effects like sympathetic, also stimulates adrenal gland to produce aldosterone, and aldosterone deals with sodium, potassium, chloride and water. 4 things, guys. Okay. Do we have something now for you? But then also ADH production from the, it would have an effect on the collecting tubules. ADH from posterior pituitary. ADH deals with water and salt or only water?
Water and salt.
ADH or vasopressin deals with only water or water and salt both?
Water.
From the diagram.
Water.
Only water. Which one deals with water and salt both? Aldosterone. Aldosterone coming from?
Adrenal gland.
Adrenal cortex. Good. Other hormonal regulators of GFR like angiotensin 2, angiotensin, or like adrenaline and noradrenaline, if they constrict the afferent is closed down. So the blood would flow more or less?
Less.
So GFR would go up or down?
Down.
Down. Angiotensin 2, it vasoconstricts little bit efferent. Efferent is vasoconstricted. So the blood is coming, but the efferent is vasoconstricted. The filtration would be more or less? More. So angiotensin has got increased GFR. Prostaglandin, bradykinins and afferent vasodilated. Afferent is vasodilated, so more of blood comes to the into the glomerulus, so more of filtration, so increase in GFR. So all of these, basically, all of these you have to understand this mechanism. If you have understood it, it is a cakewalk. Autonomic regulators of GFR, about what happens if blood pressure is low, what happens if renal blood flow is low, what happens if sympathetics are high, all these can be correlated, not much into this.
If I constrict the efferent, does the afferent relaxes?
No, it remains the same. Renal clearance, the same, we have put it as a clearance equation, urine concentration of substances, urine flow rate divided by plasma. Renal clearance of a substance varies between 0 to 600 milli per minute. Okay. Any other substances, you can measure the clearance. For inulin it is the inulin clearance and GFR same or different?
Same.
Same. Because inulin is a substance that only filters out and comes to urine. Mafi reabsorption, Mafi secretion. Same happens with the blood coming up, filters out. If nothing is absorbed and nothing is taken back, then it would go and it would make the filtrate. So inulin clearance is same as GFR. Think of a situation in which there is, the creatinine clearance. Creatinine clearance is, creatinine is an endogenous substance, and this is another substance apart from inulin. Inulin is costly. Apart from inulin, if you want to measure GFR, you can use another substance with same properties that we talked initially. Not metabolized, stable, non-toxic, Mafi reabsorbed, Mafi secreted. Another substance is creatinine. But the mushkila with creatinine is, from our muscle metabolism, do we make sure creatinine in our body?
Yes.
Yes. So your plasma concentration would be not that you give, but also what I have produced. That is only a bit, but it is very small amount. That's why we use creatinine clearance as a test. Okay. Still we use creatinine clearance as a test.
Doctor, do we test creatinine in the urine or in the blood?
Both. I mean, so to get a clearance, you need the plasma concentration of the creatinine in your blood, and then bath in your urine and multiply. Okay. If creatinine, inverse relationship between GFR and plasma creatinine. If plasma creatinine is plasma creatinine, if you have given a substance injected into me, plasma concentration is high even after 2 hours, 4 hours. What does it mean? Is it getting nicely excreted out from kidneys?
No.
No. So creatinine clearance is inversely proportional to GFR. If creatinine, plasma creatinine. If plasma creatinine is high, my GFR is
Low.
low. That means my kidney function is
Low.
low. Ideally, my creatinine should be very low in my plasma. Okay? That's the idea about creatinine clearance. Glucose and urea. Renal clearance for glucose is 0. Why? This is 0 or this is 0? Urine glucose is
filtration.
0 or flow rate is 0?
Urine glucose.
Urine glucose, that's why it is 0. Urea clearance comes out to be around 60 milli per minute because urea is filtered and partly reabsorbed. Okay. I give you 3 different substances, X, Y and Z, and we compare these substances with clearance of inulin. Okay? If clearance of a substance X is same as inulin, that means substance X is inulin or is like inulin,